Hello everyone, welcome to CyberScoop TV. I'm Greg Otto, the editor-in-chief. We're coming to you from the floor of the 2019 RSA conference. I'm talking with John Sheehy, the VP of Sales and Strategy for IOActive. John, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, talk to me a little bit about what you're seeing around the way companies like your own are disclosing bugs that you find. There's been a lot of talk about being responsible when it comes to disclosure and coordinating the right people that need to be coordinated when a bug is being released publicly. Talk to me a little bit about what you're doing internally and your strategy in that regard.
Great, so that's a very interesting question, a complex question, and originally it started with what is responsible disclosure? Has it been disclosed to the vendor who has that product or software that's vulnerable? It moved on with some of the work done by folks at CERT, Carnegie Mellon to coordinated disclosure. Are the kind of key affected parties involved, whether it's maybe a user as well as a vendor. And we're really looking to move to something further beyond that. So not only those folks who are directly affected, but maybe industry-wide who are affected. So we recently did some significant research around vulnerabilities in commercial satellite communication systems. Okay. Ruben Santamarta did that, very interesting work. And we worked very closely with the IOActive, which is information sharing body, to disclose that not only to the affected parties, but also to the entire aviation industry who were participating in the IOActive. They may have similar systems, they may have customers or suppliers who may have concerns about the risks when they see Ruben's research become public. And because that's a very sensitive industry, we wanted to make sure it was communicated to all the affected parties, whether they were directly affected or indirectly affected. And so we're continuing to focus on how we can improve that coordination, and we think the ISACs in general, and we talked about the ISAC, but there's many ISACs, dozens of ISACs in various industries. We think they are a phenomenal area to handle some of this coordinated disclosure beyond those members directly affected.
So what advice do you have for companies that when they are contacted about a bug, and it's not necessarily from a company like your own, it might be an independent security researcher, what can companies do to help move along the process and not sort of give a stiff arm to researchers in the form of, are you sure you're not just trying to hack us? Is this just not part of the scam?
I think one of the big challenges that companies face is if they don't have a vulnerability disclosure program where a researcher knows how and who to communicate to, it can be a exercise in frustration for the researcher. And unfortunately what happens sometimes is they feel like they have to go public to get it addressed. They've tried numerous attempts to contact the company. They may have talked to 20 or 30 people. None of them are the right person to take action. The researcher is frustrated, feels there's no path forward. That's usually not in anyone's best interest. The best thing a company can do is communicate with that researcher. When somebody brings that to their attention, anywhere in the organization, they need to route it to the right place. The younger and less mature companies who don't have a sophisticated security program of some sort, product security program, IT security program, they're going to struggle with what to do with that vulnerability, but it's important to get it to the company leadership. Get it to the IT, CIO at the very least, get it to the chief product officer. That will allow the company to make the right action. The researcher wants to know that they've been heard and somebody is assessing the issue they brought forward. From a company standpoint, the things that they should be doing are assessing what's the impact. Okay, yes, this is perhaps a quality defect. Yes, perhaps it's a security defect. Is it low impact? Is it high impact? Do we need to roll a patch immediately? Are customers going to be highly impacted by this issue? Or is this something that we can fix in a later release? And that triage is what needs to happen immediately. But communicating that process and how that process is moving to the researcher is a way for that to be most beneficial for all parties involved.
So you were talking about the satellite research, and we're seeing embedded systems in just about anything, from satellites to healthcare, other transportation, the power grid. When it comes to these embedded systems, what are you seeing in terms of research that companies could do better in order to understand their threat model when it comes to these new systems?
So some of the areas we have concerns in the embedded systems are just supply chain integrity in general. There's been some discussion in the press recently about some of the concerns around hardware components.
Right.
So, without giving a judgment on the factual nature of the reports.
Okay.
It's something that's very plausible. It's something that we remain concerned about. But in embedded systems in general, they have had less focus on developing comprehensive security programs. So you don't necessarily see the same secure development engineering practices used in integrated hardware-software systems or hardware-only systems in IoT today that you might see in a more sophisticated, mature organization with a long-term secure development lifecycle. So the concerns there become, as you improve your software defenses, your weak point now becomes your hardware.
Right.
So those sophisticated threat actors, rather than going after the software, will go for the obvious weak point. And any good attacker does not focus on attacking the strong points, they will focus on the weak points.
Great. John, appreciate your insight. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
For all of our videos, check out our YouTube page, and for more on RSA Conference and all things cybersecurity, check out cyberscoop.com. I'm Greg Otto. Thanks for watching.